a special super guest today. It is my big brother, Michael Vagnone. Big brother, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
You got a quick lesson in radio because you got to be on with the big guy for a couple of minutes, didn't you?
That was very interesting, and it was a blast. You know, I grew up watching Harold right on the news. Yep. So, and by the way, he hasn't changed at all.
No, he's the big guy is the big guy.
Yes.
Well, okay, this is a small business show, and yes, you are Big Brother, and I have been looking forward to getting you on the show because we've been talking about doing this for probably over a year now. But we try and get good quality people that we absolutely believe are good at what they do, and so I want to talk a little bit about you because you're not here just because you're Big Brother. You're here because you're probably one of the best sales directors that I know. You've done it for 3 or 4 different companies, and so let's talk a little bit about that. So talk a little bit about your background and how you got into this whole area. And before we get started, you are going to be my co-host for the entire month, and you want it to be an IT month. So we're going to be talking about IT issues for the entire month. I got it right?
Yes, and the reason is somehow along the way, after getting a marketing degree from Western Carolina University, I landed in technology and IT. And it just, back then, by the way, you would find jobs going through the newspaper. Right, there was no internet. There was no, and so I fell into information technology, and I've been in it ever since. And so, although I am not technical, in other words, I'm not the person that's going to pound on the keyboard and fix things. I absolutely understand how technology can support and help business grow and scale.
And you know that, and that's what I've watched you do over the years, which is really interesting because you're not a programmer. I mean, you don't do that kind of stuff, but you absolutely can talk and educate and provide what you call services and solutions to companies. Talk how you educated yourself. I remember you telling me one time, Joe, all you need is a couple of keywords, and you can communicate with any of them.
Well, you know, over the years, it's like osmosis. You know, you hear it enough and you're around it enough. I always had a flair for business, right, from very much entrepreneurial spirit. And as you know, Joe, I've had a couple of businesses of my own. But to me, IT is most effective when you take the business first and you try and identify what you can do to help your business, and then you go out and you find the technology that can support that change. And that's the way, and that's the approach that I think everybody should use with technology. Look at the business first. If technology can't help what ails you in business, certainly don't invest in technology. On the other hand, if it can, then that's something that's worth invested in.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, because you understand business, you can go into a business, small or large, review it, and from there you can say, you know, there's probably 3 or 4 different things that might actually help you save 3 or 4 steps in this area, 3 or 4 steps in that area.
There's no question. It used to be where those that were taking advantage of technology in their small business, they were getting a competitive advantage. Today, if you're not taking advantage of technology in a lot of circumstances, you're actually falling behind. You need technology just to remain competitive because everybody's utilizing it.
Now, I call you this wonderful sales manager because I've watched you, I think 2 or 3 times, take these Fortune 500 companies and literally put them on the map in the Charlotte area. Talk a little bit about some of your background in sales and marketing, because what you did was really remarkable. I mean, because you didn't do it once, you did 2 or 3 times, which is literally bring a company to the area.
Well, yeah, startup has always been something that I have enjoyed for sure, and certainly as it relates to that, you got to drive that with sales and marketing. But it doesn't take long that when you're really going to scale, that you also have to understand operationally how to be more efficient, how to be more effective, how to be more productive. And when you combine, general sales tactics and approaches, and obviously the use of marketing as well, along with surrounding yourself with people that are better than you, and thank goodness I've been able to do that over the years, it's been a nice formula.
You are phenomenal at finding great people and making them feel like they're important. I remember, and I've told this story many times, that I was sitting in on a seminar. Joe Gibbs was there, and they asked him what really was the one thing that made him successful. And he said, make sure that you let everybody know how important they are to the team. And it was such an important factor. And he even went to show that example of how the guy cleaning the floor at the shop, he'll make sure he goes up to him and tells him, thank you very much. This clean floor makes everybody that walk in see the quality in which we expect from everybody. You do a nice job. I've seen you do that as well with your recruiters and your salespeople. Can you talk just a little bit about your philosophy on that?
Well, yes, but now we're entering into a little bit different area. That's the coach in me. Certainly, as you know, Joe, I have coached sports for 30 years. And the fact is that in order to build a high-performing team, you've got to be able to utilize the resources that you have. And everyone needs to know and feel part of the solution and the approach. And I am a firm believer, if you took a traditional organizational chart, right, which looks like a pyramid, I really believe that the most effective way to run a business is to turn that upside down so that whoever is leading it is at the bottom and that person literally reports all the way up that funnel. And I think that creates an environment of open communication. I have learned something from every person that I have worked with over the years, whether they are regardless of their role in the organization. And I think it's really important. And when people trust you and believe that you sincerely want to know and you want to hear from them, it's amazing what a team can do.
And that's why I wanted to touch on that. And I'm glad you brought up being a coach, because that's the first thing that you do when you go to see somebody. You will review and evaluate their business in a different way than they do it. Obviously, you don't know or understand their business. You're looking at sort of these operational things, these touch points where clients interface with certain aspects of their business, and you're looking at how many times a piece of paper is touched or information is shared and that sort of stuff, and you're trying to shorten that up. Am I coming close to describing that?
Absolutely, because nowadays...
In this show, Mike, we say, exactly. Because... I mean, here's the thing. Technology, all of these touch points as it relates to your customer. Look, a customer's perception is reality. It doesn't matter how good you are or how well you do it. And the fact of the matter is that you've got to be able to have enough touch points, and you've got to be able to manage that perception so that your customer recognizes that you and your staff are as talented as you really are. Technology helps you to be able to do that. To be able to do a lot of this stuff manually, there's not enough time in the day, and you can't afford the number of resources that's necessary to be able to put your best foot forward. A lot of times it's just a matter of having the data that you need at a timely enough fashion for the customer and for those that you support, right? And if you can't get that in a timely enough manner, it doesn't matter if you're doing good work. The fact is you can't get the information to your customers that they're looking for in a timely enough manner. That's just one area, but I use that as an example. And now they understand why I chose Big Brother to be my co-host for the entire month. It is going to be IT month. That's information technology. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
I'm shocked he knows that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we practice.
This is going to be a struggle for me. I don't mind telling you. I'm going to do what I can to get through it.